Here's the thing about Airtable: most people who want to replace it are actually trying to replace two completely different products. Some teams built a spreadsheet on steroids, grid views, forms, a Kanban board. Others built a full internal tool, with automations firing into Slack and API calls powering a front-end app. Those two groups need totally different replacements. Today, the 4 open-source alternatives that hold up, and the one question that decides which is yours.
And the pressure to look is real. Airtable restructured its pricing, grandfathered plans expired, and teams that settled into a comfortable tier woke up to a different bill. The question has stopped being hypothetical for a lot of people.
Quick lay of the land. 4 projects, all actively maintained, all self-hostable. NocoDB is far and away the most start at $63.3K. Directus is at $36K, but it plays a different position. Teable is a newer Postgres native contender at $21.3K. Baserow rounds it out at $4.9K, lower star count, but it's the most mature for teams that care about compliance. Every single one of these carries a non-standard license, so I'll flag that at each step.
Before we go tool by tool, name the fork. If you used Airtable as a fancy spreadsheet grid view, a few views, maybe a form to collect submissions, almost any of these can slot in with a weekend of work. If you used Airtable as an app platform, automations that chain across tools, a client-facing interface your customers log into, formula fields with rollups, that's a harder lift, and only some of these actually help.
NocoDB is the natural first stop for the spreadsheet side. The idea is elegant: point it at an existing database, Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, and it wraps it in a familiar grid interface, multiple view types, a forms layer, and a REST API. You bring the data, NocoDB gives you the Airtable-style front end.
The honest gaps: NocoDB's automation story is thin compared to Airtable's. No drag-and-drop interface designer, no AI field features, no multi-step automation marketplace. If your team lives in the grid and occasionally hits the API, you will not feel those gaps. If automations run your day-to-day ops, you will.
Teable is the other option in the same lane. Pushed within the last 2 days at time of recording, actively evolving, and the key differentiator is in the architecture. Your tables are real Postgres tables you can query directly, not an abstraction layer sitting on top. Engineering teams that want zero vendor lock-in on their data storage tend to land here.
So how do you choose between NocoDB and Teable? The community gap is real. NocoDB has been around longer, has more integrations, more Stack Overflow answers, more Docker Compose examples. Teable wins if raw Postgres transparency is the priority and you're comfortable with a project still finding its ceiling.
Put simply, NocoDB if you want a proven migration target with a big community behind it. Teable if you want to own your data as real Postgres tables and don't mind a faster-moving codebase. Either way, both licenses are non-standard, so audit them before any commercial deployment.
Now for teams that need more than just a grid. Baserow is the most complete self-hosted platform of the 4. It has proper role-based permissions, forms, a growing automation engine, and it's pursuing GDPR, HIPAA, and SOC 2 compliance. That compliance posture is unusual for an open-source project and matters a lot for regulated industries, health, finance, legal.
The star count might give you pause, 4.9K against NocoDB's 63K. That gap is about adoption history, not quality. Baserow is commercially supported, pushed less than 48 hours ago, and the self-hosted version is genuinely well documented. Just know that the company's incentive is ultimately to sell you the cloud tier. Keep that in mind when evaluating the free version's limits.
The 4th project, Directus, is the one that trips people up because it isn't actually trying to be Airtable. It's a headless CMS and data API layer. You connect it to a database, and it generates a REST and GraphQL API plus a clean admin UI. If what you really used Airtable for was serving data to a front-end application, Directus is probably a better match than anything else on this list.
If you want grid views in Kanban as your daily working interface, Directus will frustrate you. That's not its design goal. But if you want non-technical editors to manage content that feeds a website or app, with you controlling the schema, Directus is the cleanest solution. It's the developer tool of the 4. Least spreadsheet, most back-end platform.
who should not switch, and we mean it. Any team running multi-step Airtable automations, record changes triggering emails, Slack messages, Jira tickets, anything chained, has a genuine migration problem. NocoDB and Teable have thin automation engines right now. Baserow is catching up, but is not at feature parity with Airtable's automation layer.
And here's the tricky one: if your non-technical teammates built those automations themselves, inside Airtable's no-code interface, you're not migrating a workflow, you're re-implementing it in a tool that may not have equivalents. Factor in that rebuild time before you commit. The interface designer and Airtable's AI field features also have no OSS equivalent today.
When you are ready to move, export each Airtable base as CSV per table. Linked record relationships don't come through, so document those connections before you start. Formula fields need to be manually recreated. Run both systems in parallel for at least 2 weeks, because workflow gaps almost always surface after you think you're done.
The full comparison, live star counts, license status, last commit activity, and migration notes for all 4 is at ossfind.com, link in the description. We keep it updated so the numbers don't go stale. If this saved you a research afternoon, subscribe. One deep dive every week, a new tool every day.